All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that feels like it's straight out of science fiction, teaching an AI not just to talk, but to actually use your computer. I mean, this could completely change the game for how we use our devices. So let's jump right in. So think about it. For the longest time, our relationship with AI has been, well, a conversation, right? We type into a chat box, it spits out a response. It's super powerful for sure, but it's always been just talk. But what if we could just erase that line between talking and doing? Yeah, what if it could actually see what you see on your screen? And not just see it, but grab the mouse and start clicking around, typing things in for you. I mean, literally, take the wheel. That's the mind-bending idea we are digging into today. Okay, so this leads us to a really important shift. We're moving away from what we call conversational AI to something new, agentic AI. And really, that's just a fancy way of saying we're going from an AI that's an advisor to one that's a true collaborator. And this slide just lays it out perfectly, right? On one side, you've got the AI we all know. It reacts to our prompts, gives us info, but we still have to do all the work. On the other side, that's agentic AI. It interacts with your screen and actually takes action. It's the difference between a tool you talk to and a tool that does things for you, right on your desktop. So the big question is, how on earth does this actually work? How can an AI look at a screen, make sense of it, and then decide what to do next? Let's peel back the layers and look at the mechanics. You see, the goal here isn't to build a special little plugin for every single app out there. No, the grand vision is something called universal computer literacy. The idea is to teach the AI to use any program, even that clunky 30-year-old software your company still uses, the exact same way a person would, just by looking at the screen. And it all works because of this thing called the vision action loop. It's basically a 5-step cycle that repeats over and over. First, it observes. It literally takes a screenshot of your screen. Then, it has to understand what it's looking at, figuring out that's a button, that's a text field. Step 3, it plans its next move, calculating the exact XY pixel coordinates. Then it acts, faking a mouse click or typing something in. And finally, and this part is absolutely crucial, it verifies. It takes another screenshot to see if what it did actually worked. Now, this whole deliberate loop has to repeat for every single click. And that has some pretty big implications, which we'll get to in just a minute. Okay, so Anthropic has actually rolled this technology out in 2 totally different flavors. They're designed for 2 very different kinds of people and tasks. So let's break down the difference between Cowork and Code. Honestly, the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think of it like this. Cowls is all about delegation. You give it a big picture goal like, hey, organize this whole folder for me, and then you can just walk away and let it do its thing. Code, on the other hand, is built for precision. It's for developers who want to watch every single step, approve every line of code it writes. 2 totally different philosophies. And this table really digs into the nitty-gritty differences. What's super interesting here is how they're built for their specific user. See, Cow, the one for everyday users, runs inside a sandboxed virtual machine. That's for safety, right? It can't accidentally go and mess with your important system files. But Code, the one for developers, runs right there in the command line, giving it that deep system access it needs to build software and debug things. It's the same brain, the same core intelligence, but packaged with 2 completely different approaches to how you use it and how it stays safe. Now, this all sounds absolutely incredible in theory, but what's it actually like to use right now? Let's get real and talk about the gap between the brilliant promise and the sometimes janky reality of using a brand new technology. Okay, the superpowers are genuinely cool. I mean, Cowork can automate the kind of soul-crushing mechanical work that we all just hate doing. Think about it. Sorting that chaotic downloads folder you've been ignoring? Done. Pulling data from a pile of receipt photos and sticking it right into a spreadsheet? No problem. It can even intelligently rename thousands of files based on what's inside them. That's a real game changer. But here comes the reality check. Remember that vision action loop we talked about? Well, it's not exactly fast. Each and every action, every single mouse click, can take more than 2 seconds. So a simple 20-step task? That could easily stretch into several minutes. This is definitely a tool you use for background tasks, not for something you need done like right now. And to make that slowness a bit more bearable, Anthropic came up with this really clever feature called Dispatch. It basically lets you assign tasks from your phone, so you can be out and about, use your phone as a remote control, and tell the AI on your work computer to start chewing through some long, slow task. By the time you get back to your desk, it's all done. All right, another massive hurdle is the cost. See, these AI models think in little pieces called tokens, and you basically pay for how many you use. And with this system, the act of constantly taking and analyzing screenshots uses a ton of these super expensive vision tokens. In fact, as you can see here, in some cases, a whopping 80% of the cost comes just from looking at the screen, not even from doing the work. It can burn through your usage limits insanely fast. And if that wasn't enough, here's one more bottleneck: the hardware. For now, this full-powered desktop version is only available for Macs with Apple's own M1 chip or newer. So if you're on Windows, Linux, or even an older Mac, you're kind of stuck waiting on the sidelines for now. So with all these early challenges, you might be wondering where this is all going. Let's look to the future. And let's start with maybe the most important question of all. How do you keep this thing safe? Well, Anthropic is being really careful here with what they call a permission-first model. The AI literally has to ask for your permission before it can use a new app for the very first time. Super sensitive stuff like banking websites or crypto wallets are just blocked by default. And there's even a real-time scanner that's constantly looking for malicious instructions that might be hidden on a web page or in a document. They're trying to build guardrails. But here's the thing. Despite all the current jankiness and limitations, the rate of improvement is just staggering. I mean, look at this. Internal tests show that the success rate on common office tasks leaped from just 15% to over 72% in a single year. The speed at which this tech is getting better is just mind-blowing. And this quote really nails it. The shift from a conversational partner, an AI you talk to an agent that can literally take the driver's wheel of your computer, that's the beginning of a whole new era in how we interact with technology. Even in its early clunky state, the core idea is a fundamental change. And that really brings us to the final big question, doesn't it? As these systems get faster, more reliable, and cheaper, where does this all lead? Are we just moving from an AI assistant that helps us with little tasks to a truly autonomous digital employee that could handle an entire workflow or even a whole job on its own? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining this explainer.